this stuff becomes unimportant. It's like the second you get something, you're like, oh yeah, I got it. Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And that game,
Yeah.
that game can never, it never ends.
Faithfulness is at the core of me being a founder.
Good business values and ethics come from the Bible.
Lead with your relationship with Christ. Lead with your knowledge of the gospel.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, the podcast. It's good to have everybody with us. This is Jamie Cain. I am your host and the founder of this podcast, along with HelpGhost. Today, we're joined by Brad Erlich and Travis Perry, the two first investors into HelpGhost, but also Christian founders themselves with a ton of experience and knowledge. And first, let me say this. I've known Travis for like 10 years now. It is 10 years. 2014. Yeah. So, going on 15 years, and I met Brad just recently. But before we even begin, I just want to say how incredibly grateful I am for both of these men, because number one, I've said this before, there's very few people in this world that I respect more than Travis. I think I've told you that. If I haven't told you that, I'm telling you now. It's going to get real emotional in here. But no, I really do mean that. Travis has been somebody that I've always, since I met him, have always looked up to. Not only him, but his family and how he goes about business as life. And so I'm just really grateful to have him in my life. And I view him not only as a mentor, but a figure of what a man should be. So I appreciate you, brother.
Jamie, thank you. That's very kind of you.
And I mean that. I'm not just saying that because we're here. And then Brad Erlich. I'm so sorry about that. But I just met him recently and through Travis, and the relationship that we've been able to grow. I'm like, dang, I really want to be like Brad when I grow up, man.
I don't know about
He's
that.
been a wealth of knowledge and just somebody that I've really needed in the start of my founder journey to lift me up, because Brad is at random points just randomly texting me and just been like, hey, I don't know how you're doing, but you can do this, you got this, and just honestly put more belief in me than I have in myself. And I've really needed that. I mean, a ton. And you've been a tool of God, I believe, just as Travis has. And so I'm incredibly grateful for both of you guys, and not only being here, but being in my lives, not just today or yesterday, but, for as long as I have on this planet. I appreciate y'all. So thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
I want to draw a line here. I've known Travis longer. As a matter of fact, I've known Travis. I celebrated, so he and I are brothers-in-law, and
Brother from another mother.
that's right, definitely a different mother. But one of my first memories of Travis that I can remember, I was living in Chicago, and my wife was living in Chicago as well at the time, and we came out to see Travis here in Eagle, Idaho. And at the time when I came out here, Travis was just stepping out on his own as a home builder. And I remember him taking me to this field where he was building homes. And I turned to him and I said, "You're building homes here? There's nothing here."
They were actually houses out of like real materials, not straw. They were like,
Travis isn't that old.
Yeah.
And
Building TPs out in a field.
Yeah.
come 20 years later, I'm living in the same subdivision that Travis was building, which is Eagle, Idaho, which is an exploding city if you're from there. Yeah. Outside of there. And one of my favorite early memories of Travis, you'll get this shows you a delta between us. He's like, "Hey man, you want to go snowmobiling?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go snowmobiling." He's like, "All right, great. I'll pick you up at like 6 a.m. I'm like, "Okay." So 6 a.m. rolls around and his truck's outside, big truck. And I get in the truck to go snowmobiling.
he smelled really pretty.
And Travis goes, "Dude, are you wearing cologne? Are you wearing cologne to go snowmobiling?" And he thought it was the funniest thing ever. It took me around 20 years and moving to Idaho to realize just how funny that was, that I was wearing cologne to go.
Look at you smelling better by the end of the day. Some of that two-stroke oil and gasoline. You smelled a lot.
And I realized I was not skilled at snowmobiling compared to Travis. So we've had a long relationship, and the nice thing with Travis and I is I've been able to, from the cheap seats, be able to watch Travis grow his company, grow in his faith, grow in his community, and is one of the people that I really, really look up to.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
This is about HelpGhost, by the way. Yeah.
Well, kind of,
It's about the purpose behind.
Yeah, and it is the purpose. But I thank you both for the accolades. And Brad, you're one of the greatest men of our, I mean, honestly, you're a good man. And Jamie, we have known each other a long time, no doubt. And one of the reasons I jumped in with you is because who you are and who I knew Jamie Cain was. And if you go back, it's funny because this is like the third time we've kind of sat down. We've had lunches together.
Yeah.
You're looking maybe for some direction, some insight. Yeah. We did a little podcast to my house probably 6 years ago or so, and kind of like you're trying to find your track, your path.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Now if I look back all these different conversations we had over the years, like your path, you found it.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited for you.
Thanks, man. No, it's true. I used to have another podcast way back in the day that was just interviewing other successful people, because I was trying to figure out, that podcast, I was just trying to figure out how I could be successful. And one of the first people I thought of was, actually, he was the first interview I ever did was Travis. I'm like, it was pretty obvious. I ended up getting some other really cool people on there, but Travis has been there. Yeah, like I said, like we've had, like you said, we've had those lunches, and I've gone over to your house and just talked about business and life and all of those things, because, I've always had this desire to be, successful, right? And in more ways than one. And Travis has always made the time for me, which has been phenomenal, man. Like, I've learned so many life lessons from him, and I think back about, I'm like, I really believe that, in that saying that, we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? At the end of the day, like, that is how we get to where we want to be. And everything that I've learned, not only, and everything I'm doing now comes from learning from people like Travis, learning from people like Brad, like taking my dad's advice finally, and actually listening to him. And so
He'll be so happy to hear that.
yeah, exactly. I'm actually going to not tell him about this podcast episode, but and same thing with Brad. I mean, like I said, since like the start, you've been, awesome, man. Like, you just, every time I've needed you, you've been there, so I appreciate both y'all, and the journey has been fun, so, but, I wanted to sit down with these two gentlemen today to talk about a couple of different things. One, y'all's experience as Christian founders, and why putting your faith first and foremost was so, if you believe it was so instrumental in your success and important to your success, right? And then we'll obviously talk about like why you invested into HelpGhost and those sorts of things. And maybe we'll start there, because that seems like a natural flow. And then we'll just go, where the conversation takes us. I feel really good about that. But so I guess first question is, I came to you. So let me give you a little background. I was working for a company that I resigned from because of ethical and moral issues. And I went to Travis to tell him about that, because a couple of weeks prior, or I guess it was like a couple of months prior, Travis had told me, you got to be the Hedgehog. You remember that?
I remember.
Yeah.
Remember I made you buy one.
Yeah. He literally made me, he's like, you got to go and not buy a real hedgehog, maybe a real hedgehog.
I was thinking real hedgehog, but you bought the stuffed one.
I thought it's actually a meme hedgehog. It's from like a collectible company, but it's, anyways, but he told me the story about it was the hedgehog and the fox.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And he's like, you need to be the hedgehog. You need to burrow down and just get in the dirt and dig and dig and dig and just, figure out your way and just don't quit. Make yourself, I remember you saying, make yourself irreplaceable.
That's right.
Right.
As in, you put your employer in a very uncomfortable position.
Right. And so I just said, okay, and I feel like in my career, I had been successful. It wasn't like but to Travis's point, I had been so, I guess like spread out really, because I was trying to do the podcast stuff and my actual job. And then I had done like a bunch of e-commerce stuff. I was just, I just want to get out of the 9-to-5 and do me, I guess is probably the best way to put it. And Travis just said, focus on this, build your opportunity. And then he's like, I'll never forget this. He said, what you're looking for is options. And I said, okay, that's what I got to find is options. And I know if I do this, the options will come. So I did exactly what Travis did. I freaking produced, man, and then long story short is some stuff came out and I didn't feel like it was appropriate for me to stay. So I left that company and I went to Travis. I said, hey man, I was the hedgehog, but I couldn't be the hedgehog there anymore, But I told Travis what I had done. And what's funny is after I left, they didn't replace me. The numbers were not the same after I left. I had produced a lot of revenue for that company. Anyway, so I sat down with Travis. I told him everything about it. I said, I kind of have this idea. I've had it for a while, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to get started. I don't know how to get funding. I didn't go to him for money. I went to him for advice. Just like, dude, you're successful and you're the man I want to be. Like, how do I do this? And that opened the door to meeting. That opened the door to meeting Brad. And so I guess we can kind of pick up from there. Okay. Now that we have the backstory. Right. First things first. Why bring Brad in? Like, what was it about what we had discussed? Why loop him in?
Well, I think there were several reasons. So I feel like my skill set, my experience is valuable, and Brad's is different and just as valuable. And what you were contemplating on running and sprinting after felt like there's only so many hours of the day, and figured if we, and it always, like, trios always work good, I think, because you and I can bounce stuff off each other. However, then there's always another insight, that third person to have that other perspective. I think Brad's ability to grow and scale are like mine, but different. He's done it in a different way than I have. So I think all of those things, I was just looking at, like, what other piece of the puzzle could I help Jamie plug in? Because as I've built my team, it's like, if you imagine a puzzle and you're trying to find those pieces, it's really important to have the right one. So Brad's ability to scale and understanding all of those things, not to mention he's an extremely intelligent individual, and he has a motor, and I'm really drawn to people like that. The guys that just go, like the Energizer Bunny. I don't know why, I just am drawn to that.
Because you are one.
Yeah.
You are one.
Well, people say that, I don't know. So when you came to me, Jamie, there was, first I felt that you had really taken my advice seriously when we had that lunch, when I was like, you got to quit being so cute, and you're a finger in this pie and a finger in that pie. And I said, you're not ever going to get anywhere with that approach, in my opinion. Yeah. Maybe that works for some people. In my experience, and the people that I have watched be very, very successful, that's not how they operated. Right. So I believe becoming an expert in your craft. And so when we left that meeting, you're like, okay, I'll do it. And you went and did it. And I was impressed, because whether you believe me or not, you still had some faith, and you kind of put your head down and you burrowed in. And I said, you need to make yourself like irreplaceable. I want all of our employees and team members at Core Building Company to make it impossible for them to, I don't want them to leave. I want them to make it to be a instrumental piece of our teams, to where I just can't have them leave. Right. That's what I want for them.
Yeah.
So you did that. Then when you didn't initially come to me for funding or capital capital injection. It was just really like, this is what I've been thinking. And I had kind of thought about some of those things that we deal with on a customer service level. And I thought, wow, that's actually a brilliant idea. I don't understand or pretend to understand the tech world. Okay. I'm just a framer. Okay. I can frame, and I did some concrete. I cut my teeth in the construction field from a very young age, but the tech world I didn't know, but I trust that you knew it, because you just came out of it and you explained kind of your situation, what you had witnessed, and where it had gone wrong, and how you thought you had a solution for that. And then all of a sudden you created what for yourself, Jamie?
Options
and an opportunity. Right. You saw a need, and you felt like you could basically solve that need. Then that's where I thought about Brad. Okay. So because I don't know the tech world, it's not like Brad's an expert in tech, but he has another level of understanding that I don't. And also, when you needed help, if I were out of town or just tied up, there was another guy we could kind of go to for support. So that's kind of where that kind of conversation started. And then obviously once we had those conversations, then you came back and just said, well, hey, as a matter of fact, I think I am going to do this and I would need some money. And we can talk about that if you want to keep going.
Oh yeah,
But
that was, you know, we had met a couple of times in your office, and I remember explicitly saying, I am not here for money, because one of my, I don't want to say,
and when they say that, doesn't that usually mean they're looking for money? I don't know.
what's not good about that is it sounds like the exact, it's like when a robot says it's not a robot, it's
It's a robot,
you know?
Yeah.
But I'm so conscious, like, because I have my background in sales. Anytime my family came to me for a product that I was selling or a service, like I would refer them out to another salesperson, just because I was so, I don't know what it is in me, but I just don't want to be the guy that sells to his family and friends, right? And so I went to Travis. I said, look, first thing, not here for money, here for advice. You know what I'm saying? And I meant that. And Travis was like, no, like he kept coming back to it and said, well, you can get both here, you know? And he's like, let's, you know, bring Brad in. So we met a couple of times, because the first time was we were just reporting on the Hedgehog thing.
Yeah. And I love the story because I mean, like, the Hedgehog story is a great story. It is a great story. It's a great story.
I ended up telling it a couple of times in team meetings that I led, you know.
You might have to tell this story because people don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead, talk. Go.
Travis
has-
How are you going to tell the story?
Yeah.
It's a fable. It's
It's a fable. Yeah. It's so there's a book called Good to Great that I would recommend. If you haven't read it, read it. If you're having a hard time finding a way to read it, listen to it. But it talks about, there's a hedgehog and a fox. And the fox is always what? It's always sly, looking for the easy pick, you know, doesn't want to really have to work super hard, just looking for the easy stuff and always just kind of dodging around, being sly. And the hedgehog, he just doesn't operate that way. He just has his head down. His goals and tasks are extremely simple. But yet he always eventually kind of gets where he wants to go, right? He's not distracted, chasing shiny things. And I think we all kind of do. I did that early in my career, like, oh, I can do a little of this and a little bit of that. And people would come to me and, you know, you could sell magic grape juice from Alaska and make, you know, it's funny, all the things that come at us.
Yeah.
And once I really kind of understood where I wanted to go, I completely, if somebody would have came to me with another option aside from real estate development and building, I wouldn't engage. I just didn't want to, because I was hyper focused, and I understood what God had blessed me with, the mind that I had, the experience that I had, what I was good at, what I wasn't good at. And so I just wanted to basically take that skill set, those talents that I had been blessed with from God, and really master those. Right, because that's really what we should be doing. Is we all have talents, we all have been blessed with those things, and it's a matter of us maximizing those. And so the hedgehog, I think, is kind of that, where you focus, you don't get distracted. You're not trying to be sly and sneaky and little tricks here and a little bit of that there. No, you just burrow in and you just go. And when you read that book, it shares a lot of examples of companies that had the hedgehog effect and other companies that had this little sly foxing, and the sly foxes, they always fall off. They don't really ever achieve the long-term standing success.
That was a fable. Yeah, and that's what, I remember him explaining that to me. And I remember like saying, I went home, and to my wife, I was like, I'm going to be a hedgehog. And she's like, what? You know? And I'm like, no, just listen to me.
Yeah.
And I explained to her, you know, what Travis had told me. And because it really resonated. Like when because I thought what I was chasing was, you know, freedom or, you know, financial stability or comfort or what. I didn't really know. I just always had this drive, like, I just am not built to be at the bottom of the totem pole, I guess. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I'm like, there's just that inner fire of, I gotta do something more, you know, with this time that I have, you know. And anyway, so whenever I got home and Travis told me about that, and the options thing really, I mean, obviously I still clearly remember that. And I just told my wife I got to be a hedgehog, and just went to work and said, I'm going to be the best freaking thing this company's ever seen, you know, and just produced. And what was funny about that was I'm remembering now, I did have things like ideas pop up, because I always have ideas, you know, and people approach me saying, hey, you could do this and this. And I'm like, nope, I'm doing this. Like, this is all I'm doing, you know? And it really, at first, it really bummed me. I remember coming to Travis and it kind of bummed me out because I was like, I did do that. I was a hedgehog. I became irreplaceable. And because I stood on moral ground, like I had to leave, you know? And I was like, was that a waste? Was that like, what was that? You know, because you start questioning those things.
Yeah, but look how organically that happened.
Yeah, but that's,
Okay, because then that is what gave you the idea,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
That's where HelpGhost was originated, was from that pain point. Like you put your head down, you went to work, and then watching that customer service side like fall off and really struggle, then all of a sudden here you go, right? So
Yeah.
you created options.
Yes.
And I would even say on top of that, standing on your moral ground, standing on your beliefs, instead of just continuously, because it could have been very easy for you to be like, I'm just going to ignore this thing that doesn't align with my values, doesn't align with my Christianity at all. You could have ignored that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But that opportunity, same thing with that chaos, because I think that you stood on your moral ground, that's when your rocket really started to get lit. And that's when the inspiration came to you.
Yeah. Well, to clarify, I had the idea before that last company, but it was there where I was like, it became feasible.
Right.
It's like I've experienced this enough places, not the moral grounds, but the moral or ethical issues, but the customer service part of it for sure at every company I had been at, you know, and then it became a thing of, you know, well, this company could use it every day, twice on Sunday kind of thing. You know? And so anyways, but I went to Travis and said, you know, what we had already caught up on, what we've already discussed. And it became very evident, like, this is what I needed to do. Like, I couldn't get away from it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, I went to Travis and I was just kind of bouncing ideas off of like, I don't know how to approach this. I want to create this, but I don't know how. I know I need money, you know, and I know how to get money. Like on paper, I know how to get money, but I don't know where that is, kind of thing. And then Travis says, well, he's like, I have money. I'll never forget that either. He literally just said it like that. And I'm like,
You got some?
yeah, exactly. He just pulls out a gold bar and puts it on the table. But and I was like, yeah, but that's not why I'm here. He's like, no, but I do. He's like, the fact still stands and I have the money. And he was like, and I also have connections, I think, that could help you, speaking of Brad. And so, but okay, so I feel like we've caught up a lot on that. So next thing I know is Travis sets up a lunch with Brad, and I meet the friendliest giant I've ever met in my life, you know, because Brad is very tall and I am very not. And so and Brad walks in, and I'm like, and he's got like all this energy and all this like immediate, it's like a beam of sunshine just comes shining in the restaurant, you know. And I just automatically feel like uplifted about like being around him. No joke, like that's how I felt. But then secondly was, oh, this guy is like, Travis wasn't joking. This dude knows what he's talking about. He's incredibly intelligent and he knows business because he came with his pad, his notepad, and was just cranking on these notes and having these ideas. And what I loved about it was he moved as fast as me and Travis did. Because in all of our conversations, it's kind of like, it just happens so quickly. There's no time to dwell. It's just, discuss it, hit the point, move on, right? And that's how Brad was, which really just like excited me. And I knew, and I haven't told this before to you or to Travis, but when I walked out of there, I talked to Sean, you know, one of our co-founders, and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work out, but I really want Brad on our team, you know. And I don't know if it's investment or whatever, but I want Brad to be a part of this, you know. And so anyways, from your perspective, you've gotten invited to this lunch, you know?
Yeah. So Travis calls me up and says, Brad, there's an opportunity I really want you to take a look at. And I said, okay, because Travis doesn't ask those things very often. And when he does,
I'm selective.
you're very selective. Yeah. It's not like Travis is like, hey, I got something. Like I'll bust into Travis's office and be like, hey, Trav, what do you think about this or this or this? He's like, no.
We've had those conversations.
We've had those conversations, right? You know, because I have ideas and I want to take him to Travis to see what he thinks about it. But he invited me to the meeting, and I really didn't know what I was walking into. I don't technology, high-tech stuff is not what I've been involved with in my life. But I sat down at the meeting, and the first thing I noticed was you, Jamie. And what I noticed about you is that you had a lion's not sheep hat, right? So immediately, I know the person who puts on that hat is not afraid and is courageous and probably has eyes to see. The next thing I saw was your Michael Jordan necklace, the Air Jordan doing the dunk. Is that it?
It was a hoodie, yeah.
Or the hoodie. It was the hoodie.
Hoodie, yeah.
And I'm like, all right, so this guy wants to be, he respects people who are top of class, top of game, and elite, like in their performance. And there was one other thing that you were wearing, and I can't remember what it was.
Jordan is the GOAT, by the way. For anybody.
No, I was going to say, yes.
Discussion over.
I lived in Chicago during the 90s. Yes, he was.
Jordan is the GOAT.
So, and then I heard you start to speak. And I heard from you that you served. You also served on a mission, and that you were the top salesperson in a tech company we'll call Brand X. And you had a vision. And then when I heard your vision, and first when he's like, yeah, it's SaaS. I'm like, what the hell is SaaS? What is that? I'm like,
I had to Google it.
seriously, but I mean, I've used software and I start naming off the products I've used, but that's how far outside the lingo I was. But when I heard your value proposition, I was really excited. The only thing that caused me a little bit of apprehension was AI, because it's brand new. And, I read articles. Is it sentient? Is it not? What is it? I have no idea. I'm in the cheap seats. And, I had not ever at that point in time ever actually utilized AI. But Pandora's box is already open with AI. It's already out there. And when I understood, not only from what Travis had said, but what you were saying and about your beliefs and who you are, I thought no better person to invest in this space, because you have a history of integrity, and you have a history of ethics, and you have a history of experience in this field, and you wanted to make a change, and your idea was amazing. So it took a little hemming and hawing, and originally my investment was not going to be as much as it was today. But after
I got him there for you.
You got him, yeah. He got me up there. I said, oh, okay, we'll do this much to start with. But after interacting with you and getting to know you better, the next time Travis is like, hey, what do you? I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Where you want the check? That's fine. And that's the reason why. And I think what you're doing, and starting even in a place like this, and just speaking about your faith and about your values, and using that as a foundation to build a company in this sector, it hasn't been done before. And I think it's amazing. And I think it's something that's needed. I read an article just a couple days ago that Oprah Winfrey and Sam Altman and somebody else are going to have a conference to talk about, putting guidelines or rules on AI, right?
Yeah.
And instead of putting rules on it, I like the idea of starting a company where those values are already there. You don't need to put, and I guess someone's going to have to do it in the universe and put parameters on it, right? But to be like, no, forget that. We're going to start from seeding this thing, from the time we put the seed into the earth and we cover it up and water it and pray for it to grow, from the genesis, from the beginning. It's a company that's built with ethics and morals, and ones that are time-tested and everlastingly true. And that to me makes me so excited for what HelpGhost is going to do, because not only is it going to help businesses, and you'll get into talking about how it's going to work and why it's going to work, and why every company is going to be lining up and trying to get to you to get this, to buy this, because of what it will do for the business. But at the same time, on the flip side, you have a business that's growing with those values, and that is tremendous. That it truly is tremendous, and people can feel good. They can feel good about investing in it. You know, I am not a good investor in the world because I won't invest in something that I don't know who's running it. And I don't know their values and what they believe, because my money is an extension of my own personal labor, right? So if I give it to somebody and they do unscrupulous things in the world or things that are morally wrong, even the brand X that you worked for, right? I wouldn't want my money going for that. So in this and in you, it wasn't an easy check to write, but it was an easy check to write. It really was.
I appreciate that. No, well, to kind of go back to the AI thing for a second too, you know, AI its value system is based off of the value system of the person that created it, right? And so when you look at, you know, some companies, we won't really go too into depth with this, but if you look at some companies that have created their own, you know, models, and it does things that are, you know, less than fantastic, right? Like you're, you know, I don't know how to really say it, just things that you're like, that's, you know, not great. Well, we got to look at who created it. What is their value system? What is their, because it is just a mirror or an extension of the person that created that model, right? And so, you know, what we're doing is funny because in creating HelpGhost and in creating our model and our AI and everything kind of goes along with that. I'm trying to use layman's terms, of course, for people like me, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go too in depth with it, but a big part of it was like, you know, when you're crafting a persona, for instance, and how you want the AI to appear and act and talk like, well, in our persona, we instilled Christian values into it. You know, honesty, integrity, you know, always searching to do the right thing, right? Those treating people with respect, like those are huge pillars in the persona that we have built for the AI model and HelpGhost, right? So I feel really confident about our model because of that, to kind of piggyback off of what Brad said. You know, it's once again, HelpGhost is purpose built. And what is that purpose? Its purpose is built to help SaaS and tech companies deliver exceptional customer service for their clientele, right? Which I believe from a business standpoint, as you guys that own business, I think the way that you show your customers appreciation is by taking care of them when they need being taken care of, right?
Yeah.
And so, but Travis, obviously, you know, you decided to invest as well. You didn't just bring Brad to the table. You said, I'm going to be a part of this too.
Right.
What was your reasoning behind that?
Okay. Well, there's more than one. I mean,
Sure.
you can't make a decision on that based on just one thought or going through not a checks and balances. So I guess remind everybody, we've known each other a long time at this point, right? You served a mission as a young man. We're in my home, you know, a lot, having dinner with my family. My sons came to know you and really appreciate you. You're a good influence. You moved to Eagle, Idaho after you realized, like, okay, well, life is serious now. You know, all these things, and this is a great place to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to raise my family here. And throughout the years, we talked about you and I getting together over a lot of different conversations.
Not by all of them business.
Not all there.
No, there's been plenty outside of that.
Yeah. I mean, heck, you even, you know, house that for us a couple of times so my wife and I could go skate. So no, we had a lot of good talks, right? And so when I realized that there was a need there financially too, because there was a capital injection that you needed to get going.
Yeah.
I would be remiss to not, you know, I guess being totally honest. I thought back on all the great men in my life who have helped me. I am not here today in the position I am financially without people kind of taking a chance, right, and helping me. So, and I always pray for opportunities to help, right? Like I love opportunities to come my way and help, and then you can pray about it, but then you have to act on it. And if you don't act on it, then I don't feel like God trusts you the next time. Because if he's going to put those things in place and he's going to have people cross your path that need your help, and then you don't act on it, then I don't feel like there's a trust there that God has with you to be able to do that. So I trusted you. There's a word, a 4-letter word that is very, very important to me. It's grit. I don't consider myself a very smart man, but I have had grit, and you had grit. So that was another thing that I felt like I could trust you with, because I know that you would not allow yourself to fail. I had a lot of those experiences throughout my career where I just refused. I refused to quit. I refused to fail, even from a young boy, right? Just all the things, my life experiences and the things that, what happened, things that I had to go through, trials, grit got me there. And so that's something that I know you have, and that can overcome. Grit can overcome a lot of things. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room if you have grit. If you're going to outwork the guy and the next guy and the next guy, you'll find the success you're after. And I also felt like you'd really kind of taken your path and your journey on finding where you wanted to go, right? Because there's another good book by Robert Greene called Mastery, and it's about basically the apprenticeship kind of life. And it's not just a quick, easy fix. It's not today. It's not like I have to have it now. And you'd been through the trenches a little bit. You'd tried a bunch of different things. And I felt like, you know what? I think Jamie finally found his path. And I needed to help you because I've had a lot of people help me. And I felt like it was time and you were ready. And you had a great idea and you're at a point in your life where you were ready to go. I could just tell.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That's I was definitely ready to go.
Yeah.
That's I mean, to give you insight, man, I had talked to my wife and I just said, I was just like, I quit my job without having anything lined up because I felt like, I had prayed to God and just said, I can't keep doing this. But I also, it gets me emotional thinking about it because I got 2 young kids, man. I got my wife I got to take care of, but I know the values and I know what you've commanded me to do. So I just told me what I need to do and it became evidently clear that I was supposed to resign. And I didn't have a job lined up, nothing.
Right.
I was just like, I told Ashley, we prayed together. We prayed as husband and wife, and it was very clear to her as well. And I just said, all right, that's it. So that's what I did, and so we took some time and had conversations with you, obviously, just outside of business, just life and stuff, and other mentors I have, and just said, we're going to figure this out. The Lord will show us the way. And I had this idea, but I didn't think it was going to turn into, I was like, I'll get another job and I'll work on another side and yada, 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 and we'll build it up slowly. And I was, and I was praying and I was applying to all these jobs with this resume that I feel like look, I'm not the best in the world by any means. I'm not. But I feel like I've proven myself at every company I've been to, and I wasn't getting any calls. I wasn't getting any second interview requests, nothing. I'm like, what is going on?
And you're a top sales performer.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you say I'm not that good, you've been top sales performer. But
there's been times I've been number 1, but there's also been times I've been number 10, so or, lower on the totem pole in the top 5% or whatever, but at bigger companies. But like I said, I don't think I could compete with top of the class salespeople, that have been doing for 30 years, but I think I can hold my own, And with that being said, I'm like, I'm not getting any. I told Ashley, my wife, I'm like, feeling real stressed right now, man, And long story short is, we had decided to launch HelpGhost, everything, and work on it, and went to Travis and came to you, and we obviously had negotiations, probably about 2 months or so, and we got the money, and then we had everything lined up. We were just waiting on injection of cash flow. And it got to the point too. I told Brad this. I'm like, dude, I was about to go take out a bank loan. I'm like, we've got to start, and I understood where you guys are coming from, but for me, I'm like, we've got to roll on this thing, And so finally, I said a prayer to the Lord. And I said about getting, starting HelpGhost. I don't know what's going on, but I know if you want this to happen, you will open the doors. And 2 days later, I got a phone call from Travis saying that y'all are ready to go. And that was it, right? And so fast forward, I'm like, okay, well, I still probably get a job because I can't do this full time yet, And so I'm praying, and I'm not getting any answers. And one night I just said, Lord, I was praying with my wife. I said, Lord, give me something just, soon or in your time or whatever, that I just need to know, like, I'm going to be okay. And my family's going to be okay, more importantly, And Ashley got up and she said that the Spirit spoke to her and said that something is coming, And I thought it was a job or whatever, But we went out to lunch with a VC, an associated VC that I know. And he was asking me how things were going. I was telling him we were in development and all these things, and he says, "Are you still full time?" And I'm like, "Well, not on purpose, It's kind of an accidental full time, moment." But he's like, "We've never funded a company where one of the founders wasn't full time." And he said, and he asked me how much we raised, and I told him, and which is an impressive angel round, right? And he said, yeah, which it is. I mean, probably we won't go into the numbers, but it is impressive, right? And in statement to you guys, but anyways, I told him, and he's like, I would go to your investors and I would be incredibly surprised if they said that not a portion of that money was for you to be full time on this, And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I'm feeling like this is my answer. So I called Travis first, and I think you were like literally at the airport. You were heading somewhere.
I was going somewhere pretty cool, and you were like, "You sucker," and I'm like, "Hey."
You're like, when you give him that claim, you can come too, But I just told Travis about exactly everything that was going on. I've never hit anything for Travis. It's just like, this is what's happening. I'm applying, I can't find a job. Just had this conversation, and Travis kind of just had this like, well, duh, like yeah, of course. Like that was always the game plan.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, you just need to like saddle up and like just don't
Take a draw.
Yeah, just take a draw. And I said, we'll put, we need to make another injection, so you can just have that salary every month, because you need to be hyper focused on this.
Yes.
Right. And yeah,
That's what you told me. You said, I remember, because you said, you won't know until you're 2 feet in, is what you said.
Yep.
And then I called Brad, and Brad was basically like, yeah, like same thing. I felt like an idiot. Like the Lord was like, okay, come on, buddy. Like, better than this. But Brad said essentially the same thing. It was like, yeah, like clearly was always the game plan, And so we got that figured out. But long story short is, I shouldn't say long story short, because that was a long story, but it came to this moment of, okay, well, now I'm doing this full time. Now I'm all the way in this thing. Now it's like, I love this saying, burn the boats. That's one of my favorite sayings. It's like, I'm on the beach and we lit the powder kegs, and the ship, it's not, they're not even burning. They're in the body of the ocean. It's over. They're gone, And that's where
You can't swim.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's sharks and piranha and all that sorts of things, but it's, there's no going back now. But anyways, so we made that decision. We're all full board on this. We've made the call, and you guys made that possible. So I would be remiss if it wasn't to say to them right now, to Travis and Brad, like, you guys, like, I would not be able to be doing this if it wasn't for y'all. I wouldn't be able to chase the dream. I wouldn't be able to, more importantly, fulfill the Lord's will for my life, I feel, if it wasn't for y'all. So I think it's incredibly important to state that you guys were instruments in God's hands in my life. And I do not take that lightly. There's a gratitude that honestly I will never be able to repay to either one of you. And there's an immense gratitude in my heart to God to use what I'm doing now to glorify His name. I would be so ungrateful and so just ungrateful is probably the best word, to not glorify His name with this. And I feel like, I don't want to speak for y'all, but I do feel like that's what y'all want me to do. I mean, you guys are Christian founders yourselves, and so go ahead.
well, I think when you say you could never repay us, I don't. Well, that's not true, actually, because you do say thank you by not you take it for as an advantage, but you don't take it for granted.
Yes.
Because there's a big difference.
100%.
There's a big difference of life. I mean, I've taken advantage of opportunities, but I have not and will not take them for granted.
Yes.
I don't feel like you took me for granted.
Absolutely.
Okay. So your success is my thank you. That's what I want, right? Like knowing and doing it the right way, Jamie, because success, I mean, it's nice to have a little extra cash in the piggy bank. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But it also can change people for the worse.
Absolutely.
And so I anticipate that you won't allow that to happen, that your humility will be a grounding of yours, that you'll have that always instilled in you, right? And go on your knees daily and then thank God for everything that He's blessed you with. Because that's important. So I think that is your way of saying thank you. So to say that there's no way to do that, I don't think that's real, or I don't think that's accurate, because you do that by following through. You do what you say you're to do, and you do it the right way. I mean, that's what I'm looking forward for you. And so I'm super excited for you, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to help you, because you would have found it eventually, right? You would have been able to find that capital, but
I was turning into the fox for a second there. I'm like going for the shiny thing.
But no, I think that I'm just super grateful that it worked out for both of us, and I had the opportunity to help you, and you're taking advantage of it and not taking it for granted.
And as Travis said earlier, after all that, and when you have that success and you are stable and you're in that place where you want to get to now, it's so important, and you will do it. But it's so important then to look around you and see who it's your turn to help out.
Yeah.
Because you will be there, just as you were saying. Yeah, it's the same success in my life with the people who've helped me.
Exactly, and and that's how you're gonna. And what you should be looking forward to, when you have reached the pinnacle, right? It'll be your turn to help the next guy, and that's how this really, really works. And I truly believe that.
Yes.
Earn God's trust.
Yeah.
He's going to bless you with abundance. Allow Him to trust you to share in that abundance.
Well, I think too, like it's one of those things for me. I thought about, like, there are times in my life that I wanted wealth and abundance just for the sake of wealth and abundance, because just like you, Brad, I'm not sure if we've talked about your childhood all that much, but I know with Travis, like we come from kind of similar, like just, really nothing, grew up with nothing.
Very humble circumstance.
100%, no real advantages to take hold of, And so, like, I won't lie, there's times in my life, like, man, I just want money because I never had it. What does that feel like to be able to buy the car that I want in the house and not have to worry about, like, oh, there's only literally a half a pack of bologna in the fridge, like that. I would really like for there to be bacon in there, like that would be nice, but it's so there was those moments in my life, but then as I got further in my career, and I look, man, I'm not wealthy by any means. I've just done well, right? And I've been able to take care of my family. My wife's a stay-at-home mother, which I'm very, very proud of. And our kids never had to ask where, they've never had to ask where the food's at, Sorry, that got me. I wasn't expecting that. But it means a lot to me, So anyways, with all that being said, I've come, as I've gotten older, I'm like, I'm not sure if I need as much money as I've thought that I needed or I've wanted. I just want a good life. One of our goals is to have a farm and, have the kids and run around. And that's what I want for our life. But then I thought, in today's world, as sad as it is, in order to really help people, you got to have the means to help them, unless you're like a nun or something like that. Right. Which is all props to them, going out and giving up everything to serve. Right. But if you're a working man and have a family and stuff like that, if you want to go out and help people and serve people, not with your time, because you can do that without abundance, but really do more and really write a check to feed a family for a couple of months, right? Or go travel the world to build a school, or help people that are less fortunate than you. It kind of sucks, but you need the means to be able to do that. And so the more and more I think the Lord has changed my heart is, I will bless you with this, but you must glorify my name with it.
That's right.
And that's where I've told Ashley, I'm like, I had an epiphany. I was walking my car one day and I was thinking about it, and it just hit me. It's like, I want the means to live as however I want to, but I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. I wrote this down. Basically the sentiment was, I want the abundance to live as simply as I want to live.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a choice to live simply.
Yeah.
It's a choice to say
Yeah, I just want the farm. I don't want the mansion. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want, like, sure, I want a car that runs, but I don't have to have the best thing, right? Like, I want to be able to take care of my family with the rest of this. I want to change people's lives if I can, you know? So,
Yeah, that comes, it's interesting because of that mindset, you'll stay grounded, right? When I first decided to, when when I was really, really young, my wife and I were just married or we were probably engaged. My motivation, I did not want to be poor.
yeah.
That's all I knew. I did not want to be poor anymore. And I didn't know how but I wasn't going to be poor. Well, all of a sudden you look around and you're not poor. So what is this for now? Right. And you kind of have these moments where now my mission, my why is so different than it was 15, 20 years ago. Like I don't want to say this in the wrong tone, but I don't worry about money, right? To your point, like I can live as simply as I want to. And I love a really good meal. I love my big, beautiful home, but I also love helping people and what's fun is you can do it without even people knowing. There's so many things that my wife and I have done for people, family, friends, people from the community that I love being able to do that. And I had somebody ask me, it was probably a year ago, like, why don't you just retire? I said, well, that would be pretty selfish, wouldn't it? And they kind of looked at me kind of funny. They go, what do you mean that'd be selfish? I said, as soon as I stop, then my machine stops. Yeah. My ability then to help people goes away. Not entirely, but I wouldn't be able to do it so freely. Like there's not a single sports organization at Eagle High School or Eagle that I don't support every year almost. Right. And I love being able to do that. And if I stop, like if you just get to the point where you just become complacent, well, Jamie's made his, I'm good now, then your ability to change other people's lives goes away.
Yeah.
So all of those kind of things you'll watch as you have success, all of a sudden your mindset will kind of start shifting. But your initial reaction, and I think it's a natural one as a man and as a provider, to make sure that you can take care of yours first.
100%. Well, you have to. Like, I think that's a really big misunderstanding sometimes in the Christian community of like not taking care of yourself and then and taking care of others before yourself. I feel it very strongly, especially when you have a family, like you can't focus on others unless, and number one, your family should be the people that you're caring for the most. Yeah. Right. Like they should be the ones, like they're the ones that I have the most effect on. My kids are the ones that
they're the ones the Lord's blessed you with.
100%. Yeah. I was saying prayers last night with my daughter before she went to bed, and I just, yeah, exactly. I say it every night when I pray with my kids, like, and I'm not praying for my kids. I'm praying with my kids to the Lord. And I always say, thank you for blessing us with these children, because I want them to hear that they're a blessing, and I want them to know, like, there's nothing in my life that is more important than them, Right. But it's for me, it's really important to understand. It's like, no, I do need to take care of myself, like my health, like those sorts of things. I need to take care of my family so that I have the ability and the means to help others. Right. I think it's selfish not to do those things. I think it would be a really misplaced charity if that's even possible, to help others before you help your own people under.
Yeah, you have to put life best on yourself, like before you can go help someone else. Yeah, like you have to.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my goal. But I think about that. And there's something else that you said, and I actually just lost my train of thought. So I'll come back to it if need be. But Brad, obviously your experience. So to kind of go in, Travis, you kind of mentioned it. Travis is the founder of Core Building Company, right?
Yeah.
Really awesomely successful builder. I think the best in Idaho.
There's no such thing as the best.
There's no such thing. It was the best. He's the best last week. He's looking to be the best next week.
It's kind of like when you go to what you see a sign that says best pizza or best hot cocoa. Who determines that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's it. Well, in my opinion, the best. I know that if I can build a really cool farm, I want to build Core to do it. So, and then Brad, if you can kind of tell us a little bit of your background with your story, because it's obviously very inspiring with Orange Theory. That way we kind of know where you're coming from.
Sure.
Well,
I was a broadcast journalist in the state of Iowa after graduating college, and I covered 3 cycles of the Iowa caucuses, presidential politics, and by the 3rd one, I was a stone cold alcoholic. Not from watching the political game, though I got really very tired of that, but because of a whole bunch of different things. And I ended up in the hospital. My liver wasn't functioning, my body was septic, and they didn't know if I was going to make it. It was that bad. And I was one of those functioning alcoholics where if you got close enough to me, maybe you could figure it out. But for the most part, showed up at work, did my thing every day, and was living a really lonely existence. And I had a moment in the hospital where I was out, and it's all blurry in my mind, but I definitely had a God moment. And I said, I don't care, God, whatever you want. And I woke up the next day. And it took about a year of recovery because I had what's called a hard reset, where your brain is just having a tough time with everything. But from that moment on, I have been connecting with God. He's always been there with me, right? But I've been reaching up and have been, of course, sober ever since, and happily. And to make the long story short, and I think God smiles on this one, I was a physical wreck at the end of that. And so if you asked anybody on the planet if I would become this fitness person running, 60, 70 locations that I built from scratch, they would all laugh. Like, I'll think that's a really big, funny joke. But it wasn't. And ended up finding this company called Orange Theory Fitness through a series of events. Signed a contract to start developing the state of Illinois and put my head down like a hedgehog, and was singularly focused, and was able to grow from one location, me in an orange suit on the corner trying to open up a gym, to more than 70 locations when we exited post-COVID. So I had that entire run at that Orange Theory Fitness, which was really, really good.
That's a hedgehog story, Brad.
That is a hedgehog story. Like, it was, honest to goodness, I can't, It was, I moved in with my parents. For about 2 months, and then they ended up moving out because I needed a little bit of separation. And I really would. I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning and open the gym at 5, or earlier than that, and open it at 5 a.m. and work till we closed it at 8, 9 o'clock at night, drive the hour commute back home, put my clothes that I wore that day on a mini basket in the washing machine, would turn it on, eat my dinner, put it in the dryer, and while it's drying, go to bed. And I did that for the first almost year of operations, because you have to when you start something new.
That's right.
And just put my head down and ground. And my deal with my development was supposed to do 30 stores in 10 years. And today, if you put that contract in front of me, because I know exactly what the run is, I'd be like, oh, I don't know about this one. That's a tough run. But I did 60 in 5, which is unheard of, just really unheard of. And we went from an unnamed, unknown brand, like what the heck, what's Orange Therapy? What's that? To becoming the dominant boutique fitness gym in the Chicagoland area. And it's just getting good with God and getting moving, staying singularly focused, and just working your tail off. And just the most important thing is believing in yourself, because God believes in you. And if everything in your life is running right, you will turbocharge toward that goal. And if sometimes it's not the goal that you think, and it's not the path that you think, but the end result is. So that was my most recent experience.
Yeah. How do you guys, when you look back at what you built, because you had an exit and Travis, you could exit if you wanted to, but like you said, your goals are different now. Your why is different now, right?
Yeah, I've got other people in mind I want to take care of. So yeah, I'm gonna keep rolling.
Yeah, right. But as you look back at y'all's experiences in building what you've built, I mean, how was God instrumental, and also how was your faith instrumental, right, in those experiences?
There's been times that I've told you, like, you need to have faith, Jamie.
Yeah.
You've been at times, I feel like you've been in a place where you've doubted.
Oh yeah.
And hey, we all have. We've all been there, like questioning, like, God, where are you? But I've just I think it's funny when you look at how God on a daily basis is always there. When I recently was listening to a podcast, and this lady was talking about how, like, you really need, and so I started keeping a little journal of every day of, like, where did I see God in my life today? Because it's funny, like, sometimes if you don't stop and think about it, you just don't. It's hard because you just get so busy. You're just running 199 miles an hour. At least I am all the time. And I had a moment with my wife last week. I'm like, dude, I need some help. Not just at work. We're missing a couple of pieces. And she's like, wife advice, right? And I love her. She's like, well, you do this all yourself, right? Really? Well, thank you, honey, for making that abundantly clearer. But I think of all the things and all the people that he put in my life. Some of the people that he said, here you go, Travis, this is who you need now to help grow your business. It's amazing. Why? There is no other reason except for God placed those people in my path. There's no other reason. So if you can recognize that regularly, how can you deny that God isn't there helping you along the way? I don't see how it's possible if you're just paying attention. One of the best men I ever know. It's like one of the best men I've come to know, who's been an incredible mentor and who's helped me along the way. And I still ask myself all the time, why does he help me so much? Right? He doesn't have to. And his son now works for me. Right? I remember calling him. And this was 2020, just things were growing. And 110 miles an hour, and I'm like 70 hours a week. And I call him and I just said, I'm not giving the names. I just said, I need help. And he goes, what's wrong? I go, I'm running out of, and when people say, well, Travis, when you're asking for help, that's a scary sign. Cause I'll go 14 hours a day. I don't care. He said, so what do you need? And I told him, I said, I don't know how I'm saying this, but I guess I just need a CFO. I need someone to manage that side of the business because I'm well organized. I know where my money is, but I just need someone to focus on that because I need to focus on this other piece more. And he's like, well, let me make some phone calls, because he literally knows everyone, right? This is a guy that knows everybody. So it was a cry for help. And then he says, well, my son actually is really interested in talking to you. I said, really? He had a job, and anyway, that's like all of those things. Why? There is no other reason why except for God had his hand in orchestrating all of those things. So that's why
you asked for help.
Right.
And
right.
So you did really, it's like, God blessed you.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. So I think that just God recognizes, he knows what we're trying to do. And I think he also knows that, again, the trust thing, I don't want to keep coming back to that, but I just know that to be true. Yeah. Right. Like, I don't know if he would trust me if I was just going to do it for the wrong reasons, just be greedy and not share and not help and all those kind of things. So I just really think that's a big part of it. So that was a big point of mine, just always things just coming together, and other people in the business like, hey, do you want this? Or, hey, do you need that? And yeah, I do actually, thank you. And that's, God is driving that because I am not the smartest guy. It's not, as soon as you start saying, well, look at me and look how awesome I am and look what I've accomplished. You just self-implode. I think you lose all of that and you lose sight of how you got there.
I feel like because Brad, I want to hear your thoughts on that as well, but I had something that popped in my head that I do want to ask. If you lost it all tomorrow, right? Like the company goes under, it's not there anymore, yada, yada. But you felt like that was God's will to lose it.
That's fine.
Nothing lasts forever.
No.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I don't have like a big fancy truck and a big this, and I'm like, it's just stuff. Do I like the stuff? Sure, I
Yes.
like the stuff. Is it nice to be able to like go to a nice dinner with my wife anytime I want, anywhere? Yes. But if I can't and I'm just cooking at home with her, fine.
You know, I remember when I bought my first fancy new car, right? You know, like I remember when I bought it, and I'm still driving them, right? You know, but I remember when I bought it, I was like, oh yeah, this is so. And then I'd pull up places and I'd see me and other people,
Yeah.
you know, and having the nicest, like whatever, didn't do it for me anymore. And living in Chicago, and it's a lot different. It's a lot different than living here in Eagle, Idaho. There are moments that I was like, I don't know. This stuff becomes unimportant. It's like the second you get something, you're like, oh yeah, I got it. Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And that game,
Yeah.
that game can never, it never ends.
I think the one thing that I enjoy the most out of having some success is that I feel like it can buy you a little peace sometimes. Like maybe you go on a vacation in a place that's not as crowded as everybody else. Those are probably the things if I'm going to say,
Don't say the places.
No.
You already, the
No,
place
but
that you had was a secret you let out here and everybody goes there now.
but I think if I would miss anything, it would probably be that. Like it's not the coolest truck or the pool in the backyard, like whatever. I think those things matter, but don't forget where you came from, Jamie.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget where you came from, because I still, a lot of our contractors that I have a relationship with some of our contractors for going on 25 years. And I make it a point to I don't treat them any differently now than I did then, because they're still my friends. I've had success because of them, and they've had success along the way with us, right? I mean, I don't want to, I know that they've had a good run too, but I think it's just treating people with respect and appreciation all the time, regardless of the fact that your bank account might be bigger than theirs. It should not matter ever. I live nothing. I like sometimes I don't even want to be in my office. I miss the field. I miss being on site when I'm on site, and I'm just and sometimes when they figure out who I am, because somebody like,
Oh, that's worse. Oh, then he's here.
no,
He's-
and they're like,
Oh, yeah.
like he's like, really, you're him, because all of a sudden my face isn't out there much anymore.
Undercover boss, you a mustache, no.
No, but I love just being around them and just and enjoying the camaraderie. And
Well, that makes me think of real fast what you've done to the least of these you've done to me, right? And not saying any of these people are like the least or they're lower or nothing like that, but like in societal terms, when you're looking at someone that owns a really successful fitness business or construction business, and the guy that's out there moving the lumber, right? Like people,
We're the same.
It's hierarchy, right? In society,
Yeah.
But God views us all as
all of his children.
you're not only are we his children, we are his creation. That's
right.
But we're also, I mean, when you think about how big God is and everything that God has created, everything that he has brought to pass, not only this world and all that comes with it, not only salvation itself, but like literally like just the being of God. And then you look at us and we're nothing compared to him. Nothing. And what he has asked of us is to go to the poor and to the hungry, go to visit those in prison, go to help those who stand in need, serve the least of these. And you have served me, right? And that's, I think, for me, and I know for y'all, and because you guys are my examples in this, I really believe as successful Christian entrepreneurs, it is our job to do that with the means that we have. And that's what you're saying right now. You're not treating anybody different because of that. I know you haven't either. And you're, with the people working for you in Orange Theory, and, we never really talked about it, but I know knowing you, I'm sure there were people that came to you that needed your help and you gave it to them. I know it. We never talked about it, but I know it knowing you, And so I know we have a hard stop here in just a couple of minutes, so we'll probably wrap up here, but I just want to say how grateful I am to have both of you guys in here, and you have something you want to say. Are you good? Okay.
No, I'm good, except the Seeing God journal, that's my takeaway for today, for me personally, because I make note of it during the day, but I don't make note of it in this way.
Yeah.
And by writing it down, then I can go back and see it, because you forget, because you see it all the time. Even big things, even bigger things, when time passes, you like forget about it. And then, you know, like the memory might come back. You're like, oh my gosh, yeah, he did do that.
Well, because when you have those dark moments, when you ask God, where are you? I've got a journal of where God was, right? And it sometimes it could be little things like coasting in the gas station on fumes, or, you know, just having something come, you need something and it just happens at that very moment. And it's funny because if you sit at the end of the day quietly and you just think, where was God's hand today? I promise you will find where he just said, just orchestrated all these little details that are just, and there is no such thing as irony. Oh, isn't that ironic? Or, oh, just by chance. There is no such thing as coincidence. I tell people all the time, well, that's a coincidence. No, it's not. There's no such thing as coincidence.
You saying this, because that's literally, I've been thinking this the whole time of, you know, people are going to say, well, that was just a lucky coincidence.
Absolutely not.
That was just a good thing that happened. You got to like look at all these people that all these bad things happen to, right? And that's a valid argument. But I know I've been sitting here thinking about, like, how would I answer the person that said, well, how do you know it's just not a coincidence, right? And to me, there's one thing that comes to mind, which is God is the author of all things that are good. Right.
All good things come from God.
100%.
Yeah.
All good things come from God. Right. And so, I know that there's a lot of people out there that maybe they're deists. They believe that there is a God or there is a creator, but he spun the world and he said, I'll see you later. I know personally, you know, in my life, and you guys can attest to this as well, that not only are we known by the creator of the universe, but we are loved by him, and he is a personal God.
Yes.
He knows us intimately, and those good things that happen to us are by his hand. And I would challenge anybody to listen to this that is a Christian founder, or maybe not a Christian founder, that's a founder that's, you know, a little agnostic. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, you know, but take a moment, take a deep breath, and just for a minute, look at everything through the lens of God made this happen for me. God gave me this opportunity. God is the purpose. He is the purpose, but all behind all things that are good. And I truly believe that your life will change, because I know that mine has in doing so. And it's just, I'm a very skeptical person by nature.
He is. This is true.
I'm crazy skeptical. I question all sorts of authority and power. I question everything anybody said.
You can stop.
I don't know.
We know.
No, I don't think you guys are getting this. I'm so skeptical. And I don't think, and if it wasn't for seeing what I've seen in my life and seeing the hand of God, then I'm sure I would be a questioning agnostic as well, but I have seen it, and I refuse to deny what I have seen. So anyways, guys, thank you for being on, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Thanks.
Sir Pete.
Thanks, Jamie.